All right, everybody. Welcome to Lorcanarama. And tonight, you see two faces on the screen. So I have big news, and I want to welcome Miss Sabrina Williams. Sabrina Reynolds, sorry. My wife's last name is Williams. So- and Sabrina is joining me on Lorcanarama as the co host from this point forward. So, Sabrina, welcome to the show. This will be the last time I welcome you because it's your show now, too, right? So.
No more welcome committee for me.
Oh man, hold on. We lost Dan and our screen went wonky. Technical difficulties in the middle of the show. How about that? So, yeah, we have a guest tonight and we have him lined up. And right now at this point, we are waiting for him to rejoin us. Mr. Dan Arnold of the Forbidden Mountain is going to be joining us. But there he goes. Looks like we got him back. There we
We're
go.
back.
There's Dan.
Sorry.
That's
Literally,
okay.
it just died. I
Yep.
was like, oh, okay.
Woo! So here we go. Yeah, we're live, Dan. We're just
Oh,
doing it
all
on
right.
the
I'm
fly,
in.
man.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
you're in,
I'm
man.
in.
Welcome to the show. I was just telling everybody, we got Sabrina. Hey, the great thing is when you went off, half of Sabrina's head just got cut off right then and there
Oh, okay.
because
Okay.
she
That's
moved on the
Good.
screen, right?
Good starts. Good starts. Good
Good
starts.
stuff. That's okay. We recovered, So, but anyway, so what I was letting folks know, Sabrina is joining as a co-host of the show. This was something that when I started the podcast, I never really intended to have a co-host, but as after I did the episode with her. And she and I had some good banter and it's just a good rapport with one another. I thought about it and I threw the idea out to her and she thought about it. And here we are. So
Fair.
we're going to give this a
Fair.
ride, man.
Yeah. I now understand why I can't move my head.
Oh, there you go.
Now I'm
You're in a
imploding
very
on
tight
Sabrina.
box.
I'm
There you go.
headbutting Sabrina now.
There you
I
go.
get it now. We're good.
So rude, Dan. So rude.
But we can high five, right? Like, can we
There you go.
just
That's
high
right.
five across the internet, right?
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Woohoo.
It's very hard to see.
Use the wrong hand.
So,
Good stuff.
all right. So, Dan, I guess after the show with Sabrina, I threw a shout out to him in there, and really, I thanked him on the show, and I'll thank him publicly now, of course. But meeting Dan in Atlanta, I can tell you, Atlanta, man, was like I think that was a fuzz for a lot of us. It was. First of all, right before I met you in Atlanta, I had just met Ryan Miller and
Okay.
and got my picture with him, and I'm already on cloud nine. And I walk by and I see you, and I think I got you to sign my badge. You were the first
Yeah.
person to sign anything for me, so that was kind of cool. It's a fanboyed over you for a moment, but then the conversation that we had about the podcast, which I relayed already. I don't need to go over that again, but and then of course watching your growth in the last couple of years as a content creator, it's been inspiring. Actually, I've been like,
Man,
hey,
it's so crazy to say
yeah,
couple of years.
I know, right?
And like to
I
even
almost corrected you. I was like, it hasn't been that long. I was like, oh, it
no,
has.
but for me, yeah, like
Yeah.
we're coming up, like we're
Yep.
about like 8 days away from when we literally like made the name the Forbidden Mountain. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
Yep.
basically
crazy.
2 years to the date, which is actually insane to say out loud.
Yeah. Time flies, right? Because you guys were producing content prior to the set even being released.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing meta reports on like 45 card metagames, so
And no rules.
yeah. No, we had rules. That's when we made the channel. We made the channel
Okay.
when the rules came out. That was like,
Nice.
okay, this game is real. We like the idea of the rules.
Hmm.
That's when actually when like that was like the deciding factor of getting into the game. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I
Were
always
you guys
joke.
all like Disney fans first? Like, what was the initial interest? Was it just it being a
No,
new card game?
yeah, for me, I people get upset when I say this, but basically like every card game I've ever played, I have never ever been attached to any IP. Like when I played World of Warcraft, I didn't play the online game until much later, like when I was playing the trading card game. And
Yeah.
then the same thing for Transformers. Like I was not a Transformers fan, but like I played the card game, um, just because I like the mechanics of the game. So this is the same thing. Like I'm obviously like a Disney fan. I love Disney movies. I would call myself more of a Pixar fan than like a Disney animation fan. But in general, obviously, like I grew up with this stuff, but I was never like crazy attached to it. That's not the reason. It's the reason, for what it's worth, that I bet on the game and why I went so hard on it, because I think Disney as an IP in a trading card game is like very much worth betting on, which is why I probably spend so much time on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in general, it had nothing to do with the IP. It had everything to do with the rule book. If the rule book was bad, I don't know. I don't know if I ever would have like really gotten into the game. But when the rulebook came out, and I was like, okay, this is a game that I felt like I've already played before, because the similarities from World of Warcraft, which was like my favorite game ever. I played that game for 8 years, 9 years, and it was, I traveled all over the place to play in that game and participate, and I was very successful at it towards like the end. Like I think a lot of growing pains were like when I was younger, I was like just too immature to like truly be successful. But like as I grew older, as I kept playing the games, as I kept participating and traveling, you kind of grow into the role of like, okay, I understand what I have to do to be successful. But like, those rule books that came out, the ink mechanic in itself was very, very similar to World of Warcraft, and that was it. It was just like when we read the rules, I was like, okay, I think I can definitely give this game a chance, and here we are 2 years later.
That's crazy. It's crazy that like it's been that long.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
it is crazy.
And that you made that decision so early.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so like weird story for me. During that year, I was starting, um, a new job, and like because of the process of that job and like how it's kind of like all based on seniority, I had a fair amount of free time during the winter, so I spent a lot of the winter just honestly researching and becoming educated on YouTube content. So I was getting ready to start a brand new channel. Like didn't have a subject, didn't have like a focus yet, but like Scott knew that I was kind of preparing for it. And then when we got the rule book, Scott was like, "Hey, why don't we just do it here? Like, why don't we just go all in?" And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So, you
That's
know,
awesome.
yeah.
That's cool. How'd you guys come up with the name The Forbidden Mountain?
So it was very important to Scott that it was like a location in Disney lore, because when we think about someone like going somewhere for something, you're like, oh, where do they go for something, and there's all these incredible locations. The Forbidden Mountain kind of came up because I think of Scott's love for um, Kingdom Hearts, I believe. In Kingdom Hearts, it was called the Forbidden Kingdom, which is like a really low deep cut, like for crazy like Disney fans out there, that it was reference to that. But when we got the Disney reference of it being Maleficent's castle, Maleficent's mountain, it was located on the Forbidden Mountain. Just sounded good. And just went with it. A joke that I said before is that I was a Marvel Snap content creator for like 8 months, and during that 8 months is kind of where I tested just a lot of like the flow of ways I can create content. But when I made the content channel for that, I literally sent a list to a couple of my friends that was like 50 names long. So when we came up with the Forbidden Mountain, it was like one of the first 5 names. I was like, man, that was just so much easier.
That's cool. I always joke and I say it, and I've told you, Scott's the first face of Lorcana for me, because I remember prior to the game even being released, I knew about the game way back whenever, and I was done with card games. I have my reasons, but
Yeah.
and so I just wanted to play with my daughter, and so but I used to own a game store, and so I knew that, man, if I could get into this from the get go and just hold on to these cards, my daughter would have a small college fund later down the
Sure.
road,
Sure.
and so I
Sure.
was in it for that. I was going to collect it and play it with her. That was it. It was not going to go any further than that. And I was like, well, let me see if there's any news about it out there. I type up YouTube, and there you guys are, and Scott's face was the first one up there. And so, he's the first one for me. So my first love for content creation in
Yeah,
Lorcana.
no, it's funny because it's so rare to get Scott on anything.
I know, right? One of my goals is to get far enough along in this and comfortable enough with my technology and my interviewing skills that I have Scott on. Scott's like next level. You can't go into an interview. I've watched you and him talk, and you've set him up so many times, and he'll give you a one-word answer, and you're like, "What? That's all I get."
Glad I'm not the only one that notices.
I laugh. I crack up when it happens. I'm like, I can't interview him. So,
It's
Yeah.
so funny to hear you guys say that because I remember at PAX this year, me and Toby were standing right outside the Lorcana like area talking to Scott for it must have been an hour.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure it was like day 1 or 2 and I had like a whole haul on me and I was like, Tob, I'm leaving you. Like you finish this conversation, me and the 3 bags are gonna go sit down. Like I cannot talk about any more TCGs right now.
Yeah.
He-
Yeah, I don't know. Scott's weird.
Yeah.
He it's funny to me. We always joke about it with him because he always says he's super approachable, and I'm like, no, you're not.
I
Like,
have
I tell him all the time, like, no, you're not. Like, no, that's a lie.
I have no problem talking with him in
He
person.
is
You know,
now, but like I would never have gone up to him prior to PAX. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, it's Scott.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a weird guy. Like, there's days where he'll talk to anybody, and then there's definitely days where he don't won't talk to anyone. So, but yeah, I love Scott. He's my mentor in card gaming. I would not be here today without him. That is a fact.
Yep. Yeah, I recognized him. I think when I saw his face, I was like, I know him from somewhere. And then in Atlanta, when I saw him in person, that's when it clicked with me. Like I knew him from Pro Tour Magic. We didn't know each other. It's just that faces, right? And and so that's where I recognized him from. And yeah, he's very approachable. I just have no problem talking with him in person at all. It's just interviewing. I fear that he would do me like he does you. So I'm just like, I need to wait a little bit longer.
Everyone
So,
says I talk too much. I'm like, well, Scott doesn't talk enough. All right.
Somebody has to fill the silence.
So I have a question for you. Like with all the content creation that you do you feel like it interferes with you, like being a competitive player? Do you want to be better as a competitive player? Do you not care? Do you want to be better as a content creator? Like, how do you balance those? Which direction do you lean towards with that?
Oh man, you're starting off hot tonight. How are you?
Man. I'm coming at you, brother.
How's everyone's chat doing? If you haven't yet, hit the follow button, guys. No, seriously. That is a phenomenal question, and the truth is, like the honest truth is, when I played Transformers trading card game, it consumed me. Honestly, like I put every single bit of free time into becoming the absolute best player that I possibly could in that game. And because of that, I won a world championship. And that is like my crowning moment in card games. I don't think that I will ever do anything that's more impressive to me because like trying to do it again, like trying to replicate that lightning in a bottle type feeling is so difficult. But the real truth is that my ambitions are no longer to do that. Like it's kind of just the way that I think that I am and like the way that I approach goals. And since I basically my childhood dream for every game I've ever played was to win a world championship. So like when you complete that goal, the only thing you can do is like move on from it. And like yeah, like Disney Lorcana is a different game. It's not Transformers trading card game. So would it be awesome to win the world champions of Disney Lorcana? Of course it would. But it's not the same type of fulfillment that I think I would get from doing something else and like setting a goal for another place. So like I very much set myself for a goal to be a Disney Lorcana commentator. From the very, I remote cast it the first streamed Disney Lorcana event for PPG. I flew to Miami. I worked in Miami with them at PPG. I flew to Minnesota. And I worked with the guys out there in the Minnesota at the game center and stuff like that. Like I have kept and continue to put myself out there because that was just the new goal that I wanted to complete in Disney Lorcana. And I always believe that I want, I want to be successful. I want to be competitive, and I want to make sure the most important thing for me is that if I'm ever delivering a meta report, like I need to know that the information I'm giving out there is true. It's fair, and at least it's a competitive opinion. So I've always kept myself like in the zone and like like obviously I surrounded myself with some of the best players in Disney Lorcana, some growing players, some seasoned players. Like I felt that when I was designing the team from the ground floor, I was just positioning myself that when I needed the information, because I can't do it all, I can't play all the games, I can't play with every deck, I had someone that I can go to and reference. So as long as I had those things, I was always going to be able to be successful in the game without, spending 80 hours a week playing it. But yeah, so for me, content obviously gets in the way, but I'm okay with it because as much as I would love to like have my cake and eat it too, I would love to be able to, honestly put 40 hours a week into content and then show up and win a DLC. Like I would love to be able to do that. I don't think I'm actually putting myself in a position that it's realistic. And I think it kind of shows through like my first season of DLCs. I finished in the top 200 in every single tournament. I won 3 Let It Goes. I was in position to win. I was in position to day 2 in 4 of those events. I was in position to win 5 Let It Goes. Like I was in every single tournament that I played in. I was never really out of anyone. Technically, I was even still in the event that I dropped out of. I knew that day was not my day, and I said, okay, we're just gonna walk away from this one. And
You give me crap for dropping when I'm clearly out of events, Dan.
I dropped in round 8, and it didn't matter. But yeah, so for me, my ambition is just not. It's not to be the best Disney Lorcana player. It's not. So it really is. For me, I will consider my next goal complete if I end up on the commentary team of a Disney Lorcana challenge. That's when I'll set my next goal, and we'll see what happens.
Nice.
Have you
Nice.
said that out loud before? Like to
I've
anybody?
said that out loud plenty of times. Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like you are getting closer to that? Like, do you feel significantly closer than you did when that was your first goal? Like when you first set that goal?
I don't know. I think the answer has to be yes for what it's worth for like that particular question. But I think that I have done a lot of things correct and put myself in the right positions. I've flown all over the country at this point to participate. I'm going down to Arkansas next week. Shout out to Sharp Gaming and the Llama Smackdown. Like I'm going down there to commentate next weekend with JDZ Quest. So like I have consistently kept putting myself out there. Even last weekend, I kind of showed up to SSG not really confirmed that I was doing anything else but playing, but had the offer to do something, and then I showed up in a suit and said, I'm gonna do this today. And they were very happy to have me, and they were, obviously they're so welcoming there at Southside Gaming, but it also gave me a position to sit and like interview people for the first time. Like obviously I do these online interviews all the time, and we meet people over like online, and we do like that thing, but it's much different. Like player finishes a game, comes over, and you have to recap the game. You got to have that conversation with them. You have to like really vibe, make them look good. And even that day, I did, I think 5 or 6 of them, and then I did a bunch of deck profiles with people. Like that's still a learning experience for me. It's still putting myself in a position that I wasn't before. So I can say, okay, I can do that too. So like if I can just create all of these moments that they can go and look, and they can go and watch, and they can go, kind of just address and say, hey, like, is this the guy that we want? I'm hoping that I'm putting myself in the best position to like get that job if it becomes available.
See it for you 1,000%. I think that you have the right personality. You put yourself in the right positions. I can see it.
I think too,
The same goes for you commentating
I think you
on
understand
the big stage.
I think you understand the importance of it and the gravity of it too. For me, if I were to commentate, I'd be a goofball. I'd want to be. I mean, it's because that's my personality, right? But that's not cut out for something like that. I'm the Charles Barkley type. There's a reason he's in the studio and not on the sidelines very much anymore.
Sure.
But it's but there's this level that folks expect too from that, especially as the level of competition gets higher. It's those are professional players. They want a professional feel to the broadcast too. So your average Joe like myself couldn't just walk in there as much knowledge as we could drop on the game and have fun. it would just be a mess, And so, but you've had some practice with it, you understand going in there and understanding this isn't really about me. This is about like what you just said. I got to build this player up. I got to build the game up.
Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of my interest comes from wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and some of the best stories in wrestling don't exist without the commentators.
Yeah.
And I've had the privilege at this point to work with all sorts of different people on the commentary desk, and this is probably the first time I've said this publicly. I love Dick Burns more than anyone, but we are not a good commentary team. Like, we're just not. Like, I realized that it does not work between us, and I said that to him, after one of our last events that we did. I was like, this just doesn't. I was like, we're actually not a good team together, like, in this concept. But then, you sit down with a player. I'll give Garrick a shout out here from Garrick's Lair. We did one ICL match together, and honestly, before that, or not, I'm sorry, LCC match. Before that, me and Garrick had never spoken, ever. Like, literally never talked to the guy. And we got on there for an hour and commentated a match, and I thought we killed it. And like, you get that level from different people, and the more you work with other people, you kind of learn and you mold. But it is one of those that the more reps you put in, the more different types of reps you put in. Like, obviously, if you do the same thing over and over again with the same people, then you build the rapport there. But that's not even what we're doing now in Disney Lorcana, right? Like, you're constantly getting a rotating cast, which could be difficult for those commentators. If they're not in a field with the same people every round and they're trying to like play different roles, it's also difficult. So it's not an easy thing to do. And it's I will say, I think more recently, and I know everyone's joked about it, everyone's kind of seen it, but JDZ came out, and this guy comes out wearing a suit, wearing the tie, got always looking professional, always looking nice, and he said to me, he goes, what sport do you watch that the commentators aren't dressed up? The commentators aren't there. They don't look professional. Like,
Yeah.
if you're here for the job, you gotta dress the part. And I wrote on my personal Facebook a couple weeks ago, like, I bought my first suit,
I saw that.
and my sister was like, why did you buy this suit? I'm like, you gotta dress for the job that you want. And it was that simple. Like, literally just that comment was like, yeah, like, this is what I want. This is why I bought a suit. I went down to Southside Gaming in Miami, Florida, and I wore a full suit in 95-degree weather day, and I had a blast. Because I love wearing suit. I love dressing up. I don't know. It just makes me feel better about myself because, like, I know that that's me. That's how I feel. It makes me feel better. So being in that zone and with those players and just with that whole environment was so nice. And I look forward to it, like, the next time. It's gonna be great.
So the one in Arkansas, you're going to be on the commentary team on that one. Are you doing it with anybody else, or is it just you?
Me and JDZ
JDZ?
are both going to be live in Arkansas. We're doing everything. JDZ and I are bringing all the stream equipment. We're setting it all up. We're the commentators, and then Mandy, who is Mo Shamlin's wife, she's also the team owner of Team Infinity. She's going to be on the ground doing interviews with players. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I got to watch Mo celebrate when he made it in Anaheim. That was great. Being an Emerald Amethyst player, I was rooting for him. It was a good moment. So good to see his wife celebrate with him too. So that was pretty neat. So
great.
As far as the Forbidden Mountain goes, you have a lot of hats you wear with that. You're the co-founder. You got a brand. You guys have a competitive team. You have content creation. Have you got to the point yet where you're ready to start delegating, amongst everybody with all you got on?
First and foremost, I love all of you. I try every day to delegate. Okay, like, I try every day. And shout out to the team. There are members of the team that really help. Definitely Melissa. Pretty much whenever I need, like just building the meta report and transferring decks from Inkdex to Dreamborn. Because, like, while I love Inkdex for the information they have and how they all host the tournaments, I do not like how their deck lists look. They don't look good, right? Dreamborn does everything better in that graphical look. So if there's ever certain things, there's definitely mornings where I do all my research and I said, hey Melissa, these are the 7 decks that I need transferred, and she'll do them, and that's a lot of help. More recently we've gotten more people into writing articles, for like the Metafy, for whether they be like public post or behind guides. And it's really great. And then my other real big shout out has got to be to Colby. She's a guy that's, you guys, not a lot of people know, like, he's not very, I don't think he's actually ever been on content, like the face of him. The only video he's ever done was the original Baja Blast video from after Continentals, when he like dominated Continentals with that event. Like all the side events at Continentals, and that's the only time he's ever been on there. But he's like my guy that when the new set is out, when the full spoiler is out, and all the cards are on Dreamboard, I'm like, Colby, hit me with however many deck lists you want, and he's just like smack, and he'll just send me like 15. So he makes life a lot easier for me. But yeah, I mean, delegating is tough, and there is a little bit, of a constraint there of like, I have a certain opinion of how it has to be done, and I have a certain opinion of like what it needs to be acceptable, and I'll always have my own visions and things like that. But at the end of the day, the team does everything that I ask on almost all occasions, and even in this past weekend we talked about the encounter and all the encounter events we go. I live 75 minutes from the encounter, but like Melissa and Ben live 5.5 hours from the encounter, and Nunez and Orion live 5 hours from the encounter, and Dick lives down in North Carolina and he flies up, and it's like, it's really everyone coming to support the encounter because of how awesome they are, but they're also there to support us and like give us another event to like all just hang out with and just enjoy each other's company, and a lot of those things mean a lot to me too. So without the team it would be a lot more difficult, that is for sure. But in the end, I'm still a little, I guess, a little controlish about everything.
Controlish and opinionated. That's two words
Yeah.
you just used to describe yourself, whether you realized it or not. It's
Fair.
a big shocker, right?
A little, my wife in chat. A little, yeah, a little, yeah.
Right. So,
Like,
okay.
totally justifiable though, especially like you built this brand from the ground up. So like
Yeah.
it's your baby. It is a whole
Yeah.
product that you have worked for and shaped into being what you want. So like letting loose of those reins a little bit is hard. And it's not that you don't trust the team, but like if it
Yeah.
doesn't look exactly like you want it, I get it, Like it's what you built. You built an image, you built a brand, you built the team, like I get it.
Yeah, well, a lot of it too is, it's funny, like the players on the team, uh, I hate doing this, but it's so easy to do it. Like when we talk about Melissa, and honestly even Ben, Melissa and Ben, when they joined the team, they were not like overly successful competitive card game players. Like Melissa, this is her first game she's ever played. Ben, this is his first game he's ever played. They are the epitome of Disney Lorcana because they are Disney fans that got into a card game and love it, right? Like it is the exact audience that the game wants. But what I love most about Melissa and Ben, and the reason why we brought them on the team, is because they were sponges, like absolute sponges to information. And to see where Melissa started and where Ben started when I was, I played Melissa 3 times between PAX Unplugged and SEG Philly, and every single time we played, she got better. But the moment that she came and she started staying with us in DLCs and just literally absorbing every single piece of information, to go from that point, to winning a Let It Go to DLC, to finishing in second place at SSG, which was a stacked house with 4 or 5 members of the room with Worlds invites, that she beat one of them. Like the idea that Melissa was able to do that in the first year, for me as a team leader, a team captain, and like a person that put all these people in a room, watching Melissa be that successful is like one of the greatest things for me, because I'm a big advocate for women in gaming and women in the space, and I think that they deserve way more respect than they ever get. And I love the look on people's faces when she beats them. I love it. I literally embody it, because there are so many times where like someone gets so upset and so annoyed. They're like, oh, like how, it's like, you deserve this. Like you absolutely deserve to lose this game. But like that's kind of like the whole thing when it talks about that team is that is just one example of why I love what I put together, because the people that I put a jersey on and I said I can trust you to wear this logo and wear this brand, which is, like you said, basically my baby. You know, it's something that I've created, something I've been working on now for 2 years almost, and it takes a lot of trust to put someone in that position. Um, and it means a lot to me that the guys and the women and females that the females, obviously Celeste, Kylie, and Melissa are three of the females that have this jersey. They wear this jersey with pride because they know that I trust them to wear it. And then the same thing for all the gentlemen that wear it. Like everyone that's ever put on this jersey, when we had the conversation about doing so, it was a trust factor. And it's a huge thing for me, like when developing this team and even, now expanding the team and things like that, is that how do you trust people with your brand? And it's not difficult when you get to meet someone and have a conversation. And honestly, it doesn't have to be about the success of competitiveness. Like it's really about the vibes. My biggest and most important thing I say all the time, if I can't go out to dinner with you after the tournament, I don't I don't want to be around you. Like I gotta be able to have fun and enjoy the after show after a long day. So yeah, the brand is my baby, and the team that we have created and has expanded to are honestly some of the best people I've met in Disney Lorcana.
You brought up the subject of females and stuff. So, one of the things that Sabrina and I were talking about prior to going live was just having that opportunity now, a platform here. We're all about the community. That's what this podcast is about, right? So, and a big part of that, probably more so than any other card game that I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of a few, is the female presence in this card game. Maybe it's because of Disney, maybe it's because of community, maybe they're the reason the community is like this. And
Yeah.
and that's one of the things I would like to highlight and to explore as part of this, to give them that platform to come on here and just say, hey guys, just, we're here, right? We're not going away. You need to stop treating us, the way that we get treated to some of these things. And I'll say this, and she just left the chat, Deadpan Mage. So she is a local player, and she's only been playing this game for a little bit over a year. And I'm gonna throw this out there, and I'm dropping the gauntlet for some of the other players in my local area. She's probably the best player in this area. And, I remember the first time I sat down and talked with her, I could tell by the questions she was asking me. I went to the set championship at their store, and I was like, wow, she sees things different than a lot of these other folks do. A lot of, and then I've watched her play. She went to the Charlie CC Collectibles and almost made it. She lost to Zach Bivens in the final round. They kept her out. But it's nice to watch somebody like that succeed, because for me, as I said before, I can't wait till the day I get to take my daughter to a DLC, and I want this community to just be the shining star that it is now. And a lot of that has to do with the inclusivity that it practices and that it preaches. And so you just had a podcast about that. I keep saying podcast, stream, whatever you want to call it. It has so many platforms, right? Yeah. And I said this publicly already, and I'll say it again. That was a job well done, man. That's a hard subject to talk about. It's very difficult for Charlie, I think that was her name, to come on and to talk about that. My hat's off to her for doing that first and foremost.
100%.
To you for facilitating that and putting that out there. And when I saw it, I heard it first. Because I listened to the podcast first. Then I went back and watched the video, so I've seen it twice now. But when you started talking about it and you started asking the questions, I was like, I had this smile on my face. I'm dead serious. When I was at work, I go, Dan's gone to the next level now, because you've gone.
That's fun.
And I'm serious though about that. It's like you've gone from a lot of the content that you do is on competitive play and things like that and rules and all that. You stepped outside of that box and went to a different realm with that. And so hats off to you. Thank you for doing that. And we'll carry that torch. We'll try to here, but job well done. So
yeah, I say all the time, the hardest conversations are the ones that people don't want to have.
Yeah.
It's this hard realization that, I don't know, people just love to be ignorant to so many subjects. They they refuse to become educated on things that people are forced to, in all honesty. And I don't have the biggest platform in the world, but I have a platform, I have a place to go on, I have, an audience that at the very least respects my opinion on some of these things. And for me, obviously I've said this over and over again, it's Autism Awareness Month, or it's Autism Acceptance Month, whatever you want to say, like that is your cup of tea. I'm not going to tell you're the wrong. What I will tell you is I will 100% rather have the conversation about autism in general and about how it affects everyday life for a lot of individuals out there that you might not even know. And I had an altercation today potentially with an individual that it sucked for me, but the internet sucks some days, and text is not any way to handle any conversation. And if it were in person, I probably 100% would have handled it differently. But I like today I might have been a bad guy because I didn't understand all the information that was involved with a conversation that I was having with someone. I hope that I fixed it. I hope that we got past it and we can move forward. The next time I see the gentleman, we'll be able to shake hands and move on. And I hope that that's my hope in the day. I hope that I can be better and more understanding for that situation. But I don't think many people would do that on average. I think many people get a bad vibe, and that's a bad vibe they're always going to have, and they're never going to ask a question of why there's a bad vibe, like why there's interaction. And I think that players with disability in this game are they're walking in, and I don't want to say that they're at a disadvantage because they're not, but they're in these uncomfortable positions that they have to deal with things that we don't think about. Like the everyday person, it's not at all concerning. And like the biggest takeaway I got, like one of the biggest takeaways I should say, is the conversation that Charlie had about lunch breaks or just about breaks in general. Like as a player, I don't ever want to break. I just want to go. I want to play the whole event. I want to get it done. I want to get it over with. But, when she makes this comment about just saying, my anxiety is just so overwhelming and like my sensory overload is just like so overwhelming that when I'm in this position, if I can't have 10 minutes, if I can't have 20 minutes, I'm just like not the same person basically.
Yeah.
And when you realize that like, is 20 minutes going to kill me? No. Is 20 minutes going to kill the average person? No. Is 20 minutes going to kill a store owner? No. So like, is it really asking that much to put a 20-minute gap in between rounds, like at somewhere in the tournament? Probably not. So yeah, I think it's just like something so simple that so many of us just overlook, and that's just one of a million things, honestly. But yeah, when it comes to it, a huge shout out to Charlie. In all honesty, she
Yeah.
reached out, ironically, through our website that like we don't even use, but we get emails that when people message us in, we'll get an email, we can see it, and I immediately responded and said, hey, like find me on Discord, like that's where we can have a real conversation. And we started it, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Like this is important to me. It's one of many things that I will gladly sit and talk to someone about. And more specifically, is really what the morning climb was about. Was in the last month or so, I started this new podcast, which is on Tuesday mornings. It's called The Morning Climb, and it's not about me. Like it's way more about the player, the participant, the
Mm-hmm.
person that's on the other side of the camera and what they wanted to talk about that day. And I just want to keep giving people that avenue that if you come to me with a very good conversation and I think that it's worth it for the audience to learn about it, and we can do whatever. We did Gamma a few weeks ago with Heather, and I was like, I don't know anything about Gamma, so let's have a conversation about it. Dad Kana, like we don't really cover off meta decks on the channel, right? It's not something we really do. But Dad Kana's like, hey, let's do this. I'm like, great. And it's a continuing thing that's been a lot of fun for me to do and have those conversations and give people honestly a platform to talk about it. And when it comes to obviously Awareness Month and disabilities, like it's very close to my heart. So it's not very difficult for me to talk about those things. And the same thing, even a couple weeks ago with Caroline and Melissa coming on talking about the CCS tournament with all women's thing. Like anytime I can give someone a voice that they want to get across, and it's something that I believe in, I'm almost always going to do it. I'm going to do my best to do whatever we can to help with that.
Nice job, well done. So, you answered one of my questions for me too. I was curious as to how you met Charlie.
Yeah.
And I did. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, just reached out to you.
Total.
Yep.
Uh, Again, hats off to her. Like she
So,
took a jump, right? Like she had no idea I was gonna respond. She had no clue.
so we, I work as a scorekeeper and a judge at the DLCs, and I work under my mentor scorekeeping is Andrew Goulart. I don't know if you've ever noticed him, long hair and the beard, and he has taught me so much about accommodations and accommodating people. And this is something that I never I can run melee. That's fine. Melee's fine. I can judge, right? I can do a judge call. I can run an event. It's great. But when he sat down and he started showing me, the way he tracks and keeps static seating available for people and keeps them in a spot to accommodate their needs and stuff like that, it's just nothing short of amazing to just see the organization. Yeah. But it was not just that. It's his heart to hear how, PPG accommodates and they do that, but it has to be enforced, for lack of a better term. You have to make sure your staffers go through with it, and they also have an accommodating attitude and spirit. And I, my big shout out to him, man, as my mentor in that. I can't speak enough to his heart on that. And so that was one thing that really impressed me about PPG and why I kept coming back as a staff member, was to see how they also were more than willing to accommodate, and a few times too, internal discussions had and stuff like that. And I don't think I'm putting any business out there. And they would tell us, they were like, you make sure you accommodate that people will deal with any fallout of, the players and stuff that they might have to move because of it, or whatever. It's more important that we get this right. Because they knew it was the humanity involved in it. It's just a game is a game. There are real people involved, and so hats off to them as well too. Sabrina, did you have something to say? Yeah. I think I saw you chiming in.
No, I'm just listening.
Okay.
No, I was knocking my headphone out of my computer.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Being podcast for use.
There you go. So I'm going to back up a little bit here. You were talking about TFM and you have folks coming from all different directions and stuff like that. And one of the things that I've been trying to kind of work on locally, and is this stream is just kind of manifested itself kind of as an extension of it, is that, I'm trying to, community is on 3 levels for me, and I'm not trying to preach or anything like that, but there's my local game store, right? This is the group I go in, the single store that I go to that I call my home, right? There's that. Okay. Then there's our extended community, which is there's several game stores in the area. We often get together for set championships. We just put on what I was hoping would have been a big event, but everybody canceled on us. We went from 32 to 16 just like that. Man, I wanted that one to be something good. And then you got what I call the global community, which is everybody else. And so, you guys have you got a lot of folks that are, I guess, within your extended area there. And a lot of folks that are global. Like when you went out, I trying to figure out the best way to ask this question. How did you meet those folks? Like, did they come to you? Did you go to them? Did you know them? I know each one probably has their story, right? But did you guys know each other from other places, or
the team?
Yes.
Honestly, like 90% of the team now is people I met playing Disney Lorcana.
Okay.
From the past, obviously Scott and I, friends for I don't know 25 years now. I'm not even sure how long it's been at this point. And then Colby I met in like 2016, 2017. Same with Nate. So Colby and Nate were the 2 players that were from Florida that we became friends with kind of just like through mutual friends. They were playing Star Wars Destiny, and we met them like at a Star Wars Destiny tournament when I played that game for like a hot skip and a jump. And then we kind of just like stayed contacted together. And then ironically at Gen Con 2023 in the I think in both events, like the starter deck event that I played in, and then the Sunday tournament that I qualified for, I sat with Colby in those events. Like I basically had lost contact with Colby. Like we hadn't really talked. We were never like that super close, but that was it. Really it was just Scott and I. And then Colby and Nate kind of came on because they were interested in the game and we already knew them. But every other person that has ever worn a Forbidden Mountain jersey is someone that I met playing Disney Lorcana. It is very much not a old team of the past. It's very much like I created like a family that I play this game with. Like if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people now. Like I say this kind of all the time. Like we go through life and we go through friends and we go through stages and like people just they get left behind for whatever reason. Just life goes on, different hobbies, different settings. Like we're talking about these people now that are in my life that I talk to. They are like my best friends right now. Like they are people I talk to about Disney Lorcana. They are people I talked about life. So it's kind of crazy to think that in basically just a little over a year now since the Forbidden Mountain team like really was created, that I have these people I can't think of what life was like before them. Like it's weird. Like Dick Burns, we joke like, oh, we're childhood friends. Like it's a skit, guys. We're not. He's the amount of traveling I have done with Dick Burns in a year is unbelievable. So like the amount of hours that I have spent, with a stranger. In all honesty, like at the end of the day, like we're talking about a stranger here that is now. I literally can't think of life without him. So it's crazy the gifts that Disney Lorcana has given me. In all honesty,
I have a friend at work that he's come to all the events. Well, he didn't come to Toronto with me, but we were at Seattle, Las Vegas together. We went to Atlanta together, of course, to play. Yeah, it's neat to have a travel partner, like that, and of course helps offset some of the cost too. But it's like you start to learn this person's sleeping habits, and they start to learn yours, and it's like, oh, I'm putting myself out there. But the things you get to talk about too, and you get to know each other. It's pretty neat. You start off as strangers, and never know where it goes from there. So,
it's the amount of hours I have spent with people that I didn't know 18 months ago is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
So, hopefully we'll get a DLC around Philadelphia. It's
here's hoping.
Right, here's hoping. Right, I've been wanting to come up there anyway. So
I'll take a DLC
anywhere, right?
Anywhere in America right now.
That reminds me. Hold on. So one of the things I was going to bring up here. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Let's see. Did I put it here? Here. Let's go there. Oh, I got the right screen. There we go. So in the chat last week, when everybody was talking about Steve Warner, and about the band. Actually, there was one comment that stood out to me amongst all of them. Is this one I put up here? Somebody asked, they were directing it at Steve, if you're always watching, because he kept putting in that chat, we're watching, the meta or whatever. You must see the lack of communication has been problematic. And one thing that gave me hope was the response to this, that somebody's there now. Somebody is there now. I don't know what they're going to say, but somebody is there now. And so I bring this up for this reason. So one of the things that my friend and I were talking about this last week was the Hiram band kind of brought some excitement back that they were watching. But prior to this, the event that I mentioned that we tried to put on, and at first we had a max capacity of 32, and we had about 28 people registered at one point. And what we're trying to do in here, and by the way, we're in the Panhandle of Florida. We're right by the beaches. So I was thinking, man, how many people would love to come to a big Disney Lorcana event down by the beach? They get the best of both worlds, right? And come to the beach, come play Lorcana. I don't know if they do that in Miami, but I don't know. But at least here you do it, right? So
yeah,
but anyways,
I haven't been to the beach in Miami, but I've been there twice already, and it's beautiful. I love it.
So we're like right on the ocean, and so where we would have the event is like you could walk across the road to the beach, right? So so I had this vision that I just wanted to start off with our local group and grow from there. But when we did it, and only 16 people showed up, I had to step back and I was like, what's going on with the game? Is this the game? Is this the event? Do people not care? Are they not as excited in the meta about the meta? And my friend told me, you know, because he's playing these competitively. I'm not. He says it's just, first of all, you know, the Ruby Sapphire thing just kind of put a bad taste in their mouths. Everybody knew what was coming with it. It was just getting too much. But it just wasn't fun for him. And then he said, there's nothing to look forward to get better for. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, no DLCs. I like those DLCs were big. It's like, yeah, there's a local event I can get better for, but it's just a local event, right? And
like the biggest thing on the horizon
yeah,
that people talk about right now is store champs going into May.
right.
And like that's big in terms of like there's something on the line, but it's definitely not the scale that DLCs were.
Yep. And
Yeah.
And to that point, I think what we were trying to do, like what you did with the event yesterday with Encounter, right? You guys went out and whoever Encounter and you supported them or other way around, whatever. You had that nice prize that Matt, which by the way, I know the person who makes those. So, anyways,
I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. You guys had the prizes out for it, and so we looked at what they're doing for the set champs, and like, yeah, there's another promo card, but nobody's really getting excited for it, and I don't want to badmouth what Ravensburger's doing at all, but they need to at least be aware and acknowledge and say, well, yeah, we hear you. And I think that gave me hope. They at least said they heard us. Now, not that they'll do anything about it, but they at least said they heard us, right? So,
yeah,
maybe there's hope for us all with that. So,
yeah, I
mean,
it's funny because there's two things to take away from this particular topic for me. And the first was your comment about your friend saying that there's because there's nothing to look forward to and get better for, he doesn't feel obligated to play. Well, tell DKP that. Tell Zan that.
Yeah.
Tell these players that are traveling literally all over the world, all over the nation to play Disney Lorcana at a competitive area, because you know what? I understand that these players have Worlds invites on the line, but you know how they got those Worlds invites? By playing the game as competitively as possible under any circumstances. Like, we didn't like Bucky, well, they still went and played the format, right? Like, we didn't like Ruby Sapphire, they still went and played the format. Like, it's to me, like, to hear there's nothing to play for, it's almost like you're trying to create an excuse to not get better. So I always dislike that kind of comment, because for me, I'm always trying to get 1% better at everything. So it's like, it doesn't matter what the situation is or what the context of things are. Like, as long as the game is not literally dead, which we know it's not, we know everyone that's been paying attention, they've been hiring all these people. Here is Greg Tito here. He's one of those new hires. So like, obviously patience is a virtue and it's difficult, but they saw the success of last year. Like, they know.
Oh, I know
they know everything they had. It's not
coming. It's just hard to wait for.
Yeah, people need to be patient.
It is, but it's, to me, if they're gonna take their time and they're doing that, so they literally knock it out of the park. Awesome. That's what we just have to hope for.
There was definitely room to improve. The DLCs were great. I don't mean that they weren't, but I think we can all admit that there were shortcomings and things that we want to see changed going into next season.
I think there's definitely issues with a lot of things, but I also think the biggest issue in most cases that caused the most problems was Melee.
Yeah.
And to be fair, do you think part of the hold on DLCs was waiting until they had a better alternative? Because we know that they're switching.
Alternative? Oh, I mean, to Melee? I have no idea. For what it's worth. That's technically, it shouldn't matter for what it's worth. Like, if they were gonna hire like if they were going to hire a tournament organizer to run it, like the tournament organizers can just make the decision how they want to run the tournament. It doesn't have to be through some other thing. It's great that we are getting some other thing, but it's also like along with this communication thing. Original communication say that we would have got more information about it at the end of March. It's the middle of April. We've still got nothing.
Yeah.
So like set championships are coming up, and store owners probably still have not even touched this platform. So like that's another concern for store owners because like they have to learn this thing, and if it's not out there, if it's not available, what are they supposed to do? You know,
Right.
like so yeah, like as much as I love the response here, it's also very indicative to a lot of what we know. Like the comment about more live streams. I mean, you had a continuous live stream going with the Lorecast, and then we didn't have one. So like, if there were more live streams coming, why didn't we have one? Like, so like I like where the heart is here, but I could pick apart this whole thing and be like, I don't believe you, you know.
The
So
actions are speaking a little louder. For
right,
you.
the actions are
Yeah.
way louder than this text box is. So as much as I want them to be successful and I want them to like do these things, I think that it's much better off. Like this is like the epitome of an announcement about announcement again. You know, it's like no, just do it. Like just do it.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Like literally
Telling us
just
you're gonna do it and do
just
it.
do it. Like
Yeah.
I tell everyone all the time. Someone's like, oh, yo, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm like, don't tell me you're gonna do it. Just literally do it and send it to me when it's done. Like
So-
you telling me you're gonna do it is only leaving me like waiting for it. Like I don't want to wait for it. Just tell me that it's done. Like show me the proof, you know. And that's kind of like my second takeaway from this comment.
So we looked at Ravensburger to kind of control the events for the global community, right? For the most part, you know, and then it's up to us, the actual, you know, I would say players, and they're part of the community too. Ravensburger. I don't mean to say they're not. You know, and go back to my friend's comment, because what I was trying to set up with that was, you know, that whole, you know, here's my local, here's my extended, here's my region. And so you've got the global, you got the global, which that's with the Zans and all these folks who play for, but you got the folks that really like, they're not going to go to the DLCs or they can't get tickets or whatever. Although you know, and so while that could be a goal for a lot of folks, for some folks, it just isn't. But then you got your local store, and we local stores handle things the way they handle. There's just that missing level in between that what we're trying to look for, you know, for support, you know, and I think that's where the folks around here are getting at. It's like, you know, we need something to play for at this next level, in which we tried to create for them, you know, and it just kind of fell by the wayside, but I'm not giving up on it, by the way. And so I'm throwing this out there because you guys obviously did it. And so, you know, one of the things,
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, one of the things that I was going to ask is, you know, I said something to you prior to going off. I had a Metafy topic for you. I had another one, and that's you know, hey, how do you put on these next level events? You know, how do you reach out to extended communities? You know, because I can do it via the contacts I have, and I know how to do it. But what you really want is you want to try and get people on board to support that, because just like anything, you can make every effort in the world and try to put something on, but if people don't support it, it's just going to fail. And so, you know, I throw that out there as just kind of like, hey, here's something for you. So I'm going to.
So my first question is like, what was your top prize in your tournament?
So we started off with a case as the prize, because we had
we
had one store that sponsored it. She opened up her premises for us. She put up the case, and by the way, she didn't get as much this go around from her distributor as she did in the past, and so her putting up that case was huge, because she cut out, you know. So yeah, we had it, and we reached out to 4 different communities, and somebody from each one of those communities came and represented. But you know, we really wanted more. How do you get folks excited?
What weekend was it on?
It was the weekend after Charlie CC Collectibles.
So okay, so you are competing, right? In theory, I know it's not fair to say this, but you know, Charlie's Collectibles had a 300 player event, right?
Yeah.
And
It wasn't
you
fair.
are like within driving distance of Charlie's, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Well, for the most part, yeah. Atlanta, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that, right? Timing is important. Timing is like honestly very, very valuable. What I can also tell you is, our channel for the last few months has been doing an event or doing an events, video for all the events that we can find
Hmm.
in the month of that is coming up. So like in this month we would have reported on all the events that were going out there and stuff like that we knew about. So
And as
what's
someone that lives kind of locally, like locally enough,
yeah.
I access that.
Yeah,
When my
yeah.
friends are like, "What events are going on?" I'm like, "Hold on,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
pull
yeah,
it up."
yeah. Yeah. But like, this event that you guys had, what was the name of the store of the event?
Pokey Charles. Well, actually, the
Yeah.
name of the event was the Emerald Coast Challenge.
Okay. So, but then what was the name of the store?
Pokey
Also,
Charles. Pokey Charles.
right. So, like me, as a person that's incredibly invested in every event that's going on, I've never heard about this,
No,
right?
because
So that
somebody put
also
it up.
comes down to advertising, right? So like even if you advertised it to your local communities and what like I guess whatever you deemed as like a drivable thing, realistically you should be announcing it to the world and give anybody the opportunity to come. Like you don't those
Yeah.
people like I don't know how your guys area is,
Yeah.
but Sabrina knows for us like we have North Jersey, like a Jersey in Philadelphia, Greater Philadelphia, like
Yep.
Facebook group, and then there's like a Western Central Philadelphia Facebook group, and then there's like a New York Facebook group. Like, so even if all those things exist, you might not have players that are even in those groups to even see those things. So like, still by posting it to the like the
Yeah.
official Facebook page is totally legal. Hey, I'm a moderator of it. I know what the rules are. You're opening up to 90,000 people to make a decision. Like if it goes up and pops up on someone's feed, gets traction, you get questions like, oh, So I think advertising comes out a lot about it. I don't want to put the store on blast in the area, but there's a store in our area that does something very similar to what you just explained of, hey, they do these case events and they're normally like a week or two after the set comes out, and I literally never hear about them until the day after they had it and it failed. Like they would have 16, 15, 16 people,
Hmm.
and it's like, you guys are this huge store with a huge name. How do I not know when your tournament is? Like how is that possible? Like you're in driving distance of my house. Like what are you doing wrong? And I've tried over and over again to help them and just be like, guys, this is where you have to post it. This is where the information goes. Like, and yeah, a lot of it at the end of the day has everything to do with your timing and everything to do with your advertising. Like this
Hmm.
past weekend, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Oh man, like it was so great that this tournament was successful because of the ban." And I'm like, the tournament was sold out before the ban happened. So like we literally sold out the building before the ban happened. The only thing the ban did was made the content infinitely better. It made the room infinitely better because it was way more interesting. Like that's all the ban did. It didn't bring anyone else in the room. Like that room was sold out. But the other context that I want to present to you is we've been doing these tournaments now for about a year. Like when I first started going to the encounter in about January of 2024, and I developed the relationship with the store owner there, Keith, phenomenal guy, and pretty much he used me as a resource, and he said, Dan, like nobody in our area is doing tournaments. Like what can we do? And I'm like, dude, I was like, let's just try this. Let's try this. Let's try this.
Yeah.
And every single time we did it, we grew. Every single time we planned something, we grew. And I remember, I'll never forget Shimmering Skies. Shimmering Skies was the first time that I convinced him. I'm like, Keith, let's do a constructed tournament opening weekend. And he goes, are you sure? I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like, I guarantee you it's successful. We will sell the place out. We sold the place out. We sold the place out. He sold every piece of product in his building that day. The singles case went. He bought older cards to resell later on. Like it was a completely successful day for that store. And one of my biggest things, really just like a motto of my life at this point: success leaves clues, right? Well, that event was successful. Guess what? Every single set since then, we've done it, and every single set, it's gotten bigger. The encounter is Sabrina's been there. It is not a large store. The idea that we can fit 60 players in it is kind of incredible. They really worked the building out this weekend to get the space even available for players, but that only happens because A, the Encounter is a great community and they are willing to be better, they are willing to listen, they are willing to learn, and B, when you have someone that's as committed to I am to seeing success in the Philadelphia area, because none of these other stores literally do anything close to this, and it's so frustrating because you have the success there and it's so easy to replicate. It's there for you to have, and no one else wants to take the gamble. Everyone else wants to like overcharge for their tournaments. They don't want to guarantee prizing. Like they just want to give a bunch of excuses for players to go, well, it's not worth me to go if it's not guaranteed. It's not worth me to drive 90 minutes if I show up and it's only 12 people and we're playing for 4 packs. Like the store has to be able to risk the event, and they have to. The whole point of the event is an advertisement for your store and your community, and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and we're gonna make you come back. We're gonna give you the incentive to come back, and I think that the Encounter delivers on that every single time. I really do. And, nothing against anyone in the store. I have definitely, in a way, like, taken it over as mine. Like, Sabrina can vouch for this. I'm running around all day like a crazy person, making sure everything's going well. And, at one point, I was a judge, event organizer, caster. I was doing, like, everything. I'm like, all right, we can't do that anymore. That's why this past weekend, we had friends from the community come and hang out with us. But it was one of those where it became important to me. Again, we talked about that player thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is way more important to me that 60 players were in a building enjoying Disney Lorcana and I didn't have to play a game. Like I was able to facilitate this environment for people to play a game. Like that's the biggest win I can ask for. I can't ask for more than that, in all honesty.
That's what I want. And I heard you. So.
Yeah.
And it was a positive experience for everybody. Like I know my whole group, because there was 6 of us that peer pressured each other in a row into going, because it's like 2 hours away from where I am in South Jersey. And when we left, we were all like, yeah, that was cool. Like we'd go back. That was a good store. Like, so I think that that shows the success that you and the store have built.
Yep.
And like you said, I mean, it's gotten bigger every time just based on the number of attendees, which is also like really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a month ago, we just had one a month ago, and it was sold out weeks in advance. Like it's crazy. It's like the set is coming out that weekend, and we had 51 seats sold out 2 or 3 weeks in advance. It's funny because people think that I work for the store, and I'll get messages from the community, and they're like, "Hey, like they said they're sold out. Like, can you get me in?" I'm like, "No, like it's sold out, bro. I can't help you."
So I'm gonna switch gears on you real quick because we've actually gone past the time I usually cut this, which is it's fine with me. It's free content.
We're vibing.
Right?
We're
vibing. So but I'm gonna ask you a question because I'm just curious about this. It is an easy question though, so it's not a hard one. All right.
Okay.
What's your most cherished Lorcana moment so far up to this point?
Man, that's so difficult to answer. I think so all right, I kind of have to pick 2 in a really weird way, but I remember round 9 of Atlanta. I drew with my opponent and we had enough points to win a Let It Go. And I was pretty content with winning a Let It Go in the first Disney Lorcana challenge. Like I was like, you know what? I did it. I showed up, 2,000 player tournament. I'm in the top 128 players. I feel really good about that. And I remember Dick, also, he had to go in 2-0 his round. I only had to split to win one. He had a 2-0. And I remember he 2-0'd, and he literally came over and he legitimately picked me up in the air and hugged me because of how happy he was that he was successful also. And then on top of that, I had learned that Scott 2-0'd his opponent and was now in day 2. So in a very short period of time, like at that time, the closest people I were into the game all had a very successful first Disney Lorcana challenge. And it really was like, okay, like this is it. This is real. This is awesome. But as awesome as like fulfilling that moment was for me in a way, and for like the people that I was as close to as possible at the time, watching David Nunes in Toronto play all day. I sat there in the front row the entire day while he's in the feature match area playing his games, and I know how hard he is on himself, like about losing the finals and everything like that, but I just couldn't be more proud of watching my teammate be successful and seeing all of his work pay off. And it was just phenomenal. Like, it was so phenomenal to watch, someone that, in all honesty, I invested so much into. David Nunes was not one of the original members of the team, but he was a guy that every single time I met him, every conversation we had, I'm like, I just want to have more conversations with this guy. Like, he's a guy that I want to spend more time with. So when I asked him to be on the team, I was so excited when he said yes. And then, just a couple DLCs later, he's playing for a DLC championship. And it's one of those moments that everyone was there. He was the only one that day that made day 2 out of the whole team that traveled there. And he ran the gauntlet that day. And all of us were just like on the edge of our seats watching it. And it was a lot of fun.
That's neat. Your 2 moments, I was standing there talking to Scott when you came over and celebrated. So I got to see that. And then in Toronto, I was sitting 4 rows behind you watching as well.
Yeah.
That, to me, Toronto was very special. It was the first event I got to work as staff. And it was a blur the first day because I was nervous as all could be. But it was pretty neat. Toronto was pretty cool. Cool city. In fact, I wore my Toronto shirt today. So.
Yeah, Toronto. Toronto is. It's really tough. I think Toronto is my favorite DLC.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the success, for Nunes, but the food was so good.
Yeah, it was.
Pretty much everywhere we ate was delicious. My wife, that was the only DLC that Kylie got to go to. We did Niagara Falls. Like,
oh yeah,
it was just a great trip. And it was
got engaged on the way to Toronto.
Yeah.
That might have been the best.
You got engaged, and we were celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Oh man.
So it was a lot of fun.
I remember actually in Toronto looking and seeing you and Kylie like next to each other at the player meeting, and that was when it dawned on me that when I change my name, I will get to sit next to Toby at player meetings. And I was like, game changer. Because right now, at DLCs, the closest person I know is usually Dave Pendergrass. Like, I will look for Dave, and I'll be like, there he is.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you.
We love our Dave.
I'll tell you a funny thing about Toronto is, so my wife and I had tickets to go see Mean Girls. And some stuff happened in Buffalo with the rental car, and we couldn't get there. So I didn't know anybody in Toronto whatsoever. Period.
I remember that.
To give those tickets to. And so I knew Dan on Discord, and I tried to send them, but Discord never sent the message to get to him to say, hey, if you want these tickets, you can have them, because otherwise they're going to go to waste. We all missed out on Mean Girls that night. So
true.
But,
quite true.
All right. So to wrap up, I do this with every guest that comes on. All right. So you're going to be a victim as well too. So this is a little game I played that was inspired by a pack rush that I showed up to without my glasses. And so I couldn't read any of the cards, and some of those old cards, I thought I knew them all, but I didn't. Now, hold on. I'm setting you up though. Hold on. I got you good, right? Because Dick asked you about this card, put this card out on you on Thursday, and you asked Dick, what does the card do? So I'm going to see if you were paying attention to Dick when you asked him and on your stream on Thursday. You ready? So here we go. If you look at the stream, here we go. Croquet mallet.
Okay.
What does that do?
Is this the thing that gives something rush?
All right.
What this one does?
Let us see. Here we go. It does. There we go. You got it. Yeah. Well, hey, I made it through the whole episode almost without technical difficulties other than at the beginning. So for the first ever stream that we did with 3 people. So all right, yeah, we did it. So I want to give a shout out real quick to the folks in chat. I'm going to apologize that I didn't engage you. I haven't had people in chat yet up until tonight. So actually I think for one, we have had 1 or 2 people there, but thank you all so much for joining us. It was great to have you, Dan. Thank you for coming. Sabrina will be back, so I thank her for joining me as a co-host here. I want to give one more shout out. This was given to us. Well, here we go. So you guys are familiar with Matified. So they're not officially a sponsor or anything. I just know the person who does this and told him I would put this up here. The stars kind of align that you get your tournament that you gave out one of the mats that they did as a prize. So it was kind of neat. But I want to give a shout out to Craig for the work that he does with Matified. If you folks are not familiar with it, you can go. They have a website up they just put up on Friday. As a matter of fact, it is www.matified.com. Go check them out. Talk to them about your custom play mats and those types of things. So again, I want to thank you two for joining me here today. And I will not be back for Easter. We're taking that off. Sabrina and I are taking that off, but we will be back the week after Easter for episode 6. Again, thank you, Dan. Thank you to your wife for loaning you to us tonight. And Kylie.
Kylie.
Yep. You guys, Kylie, you are welcome to come on and run the show one night. I'll just do the technical stuff while you ladies just have a chat. So thank you all for coming, and you just watch it on YouTube if you missed it, part of it, and just keep on keeping on, everybody.
Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Yep.
Thanks, Dan.
Hey.